With the Capricorn Cup being here, it is an easy time to get an S rank. And if you've never built an S rank before, well, you're probably making some of these mistakes. So I'm going to talk about a few mistakes that you're probably making and, well, how to fix them essentially. Sound good? Sounds good. The first thing to recognize is that you do not need an S rank to actually be competitive in this CM. It's just probably the easiest CM to actually make an S rank. A+ is going to be plenty good, and if you are making A's, then you probably are just making your Uma wrong, unless you're brand new to the game, which is fine. But you don't need an S rank, and an S rank is not necessarily dependent on skill completely. It also depends on a little bit of RNG. Now, not too much RNG, but sometimes I've done some runs where just my speed cards are pretending to be guts cards and my wit cards, despite bringing 4 of them, taking the day off. So that's just the reality that, you know what, it's all right. That's part of the game, and that's why we play the game, for the good runs and not the bad ones. You can see the fluctuations between S ranks and A+. And sometimes it's just, you know, you get some decent stats, but you don't get enough skills. And you need a combination of good stats and a good amount of skills to actually break into the S. So this one, the stats are decent. I didn't max speed, but the stats overall are pretty good, but I just don't have good skills. Compared to this one has better stats. So this one is a little bit easier to get an S rank and also has a little bit more skills. This one has a decent amount of skills, but the power is a little low, even though the stats are pretty good. But that one, I guess the skills would probably be the limiting factor here on this one still. Compared to this one, the stats, you know, if you max out one of the stats and get near 2 maxed out one of the stats, then you're pretty much going to get an S rank. But you know, some of these A+ are still competitive. So this one, it has no corners, so it's not competitive, but we'll talk about that in a second. So you need basically, I don't know what the number actually is, but basically max speed, yes, and then get close to 1,000, 1,100 with power and wit, and you're pretty much going to be in an S rank. Combine that with a good amount of skills, and then that's the S rank right there. So during the actual run, there's a few things that you can actually focus on to help you build an S rank a little bit easier. So let's talk about them. So now everyone in the sprint CM is going to want power sparks just because the other ones are easy to get. But if you can get something like this, you know, that's a pretty good boost, you know, through the blue sparks to actually get there. Now this is mine. I can share this one if you want me to. I'll put the link, you know, for this one in the comment section down below. And then this one you can just find on Chronogenesis. Right? It doesn't have to be this one, but anyone with, you know, a 9-star power is going to help you just not think about getting more power a little bit easier. And one of the important things is, one, when you're building your deck out, it is important to not only pick SSRs just because they are SSRs. Obviously this is a little exaggerated, but you see stuff like this all the time where, one, for this CM, only focus on speed and wit. 2 speed or 3 speed is good enough to max out pretty much every single character. And just because you have an SSR maxed out doesn't mean it's actually a good card. So I wouldn't bring this card unless I'm running a front runner, because it's just not as good as, say, this card. So don't just pick SSRs because they're there, right? Make it actually understand which cards are more effective, but essentially figure out which cards are actually good. The ones that are closest to limit break is probably better than just picking a random SSR. Now, when you're actually doing the run, the most important thing is, let's talk about some milestones that you want to aim for. So by the end of junior year, it's good to aim for around 300 in speed, power, wit. That's kind of a good milestone to know if you're on a good pace. And then by the end of junior year, by the end of classic year, you'd like to be around 600 in speed and wit. Now, power is probably going to be a little bit limited unless your person has a power growth. But if you can get 600 in those by the end of classic year, that's a good milestone to know if you're on a good direction. And then by the end of summer and senior year, around 950 in those is a good milestone, if not more, to know if you are kind of close to maxing out. because by the end of senior year, if you're around 1050, then you'll probably need, you know, maybe 1 or 2 more burst rainbows in that. If you're around 1100, you're pretty much just gonna max out naturally. So if you can get around those milestones, that's a good place to aim for. So the thing with building in that process is, I mean, you just kind of focus on speed and wit, and the rest kind of comes naturally. You can blow up on speed, you can blow up on wit, you can blow up on power. It just depends on matching your pace to those milestones, and then you're pretty much good to go. It's not too complicated, but I don't know, just max those thresholds and you'll be good to go. Now, the other big thing during these careers is choosing when to run an extra race. Now, unless you are required to run an extra race, you probably can still fit in a decent amount of extra races and still get enough stats, just because you're only focusing on these 3 stats and mainly just clicking speed and wit. So essentially, if you have a dead turn, and that is a turn where 1, no rainbows, no up arrows, and no bursts, just go race. In the long term, it's not going to harm you. If anything, it's going to be essential because you want enough skill points to actually buy enough skills at the end of the race. So if you don't do any extra races and you're just clicking pointlessly, you're not gonna have enough skill points at the end to actually get enough to get into the high S rank. Now, essentially, that is pretty much all you need to do to get an S rank. It's not super difficult on this CM, especially if you're just trying to max these 3 stats. When you have other CMs and you're trying to build other stats, it's a lot harder. But for now, take advantage of this opportunity, get some S ranks under your belt, and go from there.